South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza. We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles. She's Alex White. He's Kenny White. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are ready to rumble here on a Tuesday. Of course, the field of 16 is set. We'll get to that a little bit later in the program. We have the final 8 in the NIT. That begins tonight. The CBI rolls along as well, and there's a bunch of hockey to be talked about here on the show. But we begin first on the women's basketball end of things, because there was an earth-shattering occurrence in the worst possible way yesterday in Los Angeles at the Galen Center. The best player in women's college basketball, Juju Watkins, with a torn ACL early in that game, a very awkward-looking play, lost her balance, and you knew right away something was very much wrong. USC confirmed it last night. So, Kenny, I'll start over with you real quick on this, because going into this tournament, it felt like the top 5 teams were pretty compact. the 4-1 seeds, UCLA, USC, South Carolina, and Texas, and then Connecticut as the 5th team, can make a legitimate argument for all 5 of them. And now USC might even have their hands full with a Kansas State opponent that pulled an upset in the round of 32 to get to the its Sweet 16 out west starting later in the week.
There's a lot of storylines there. One is Juju Watson. It's a shame, and I've seen this happen before. You know, I talked about this on the show yesterday that, or Monday or Sunday with Alex. One of these days, because I watched the last game USC played, and Watkins was injured twice in the game. First her left thumb, and then her wrist, and then she took a bad fall on her ankle. And I've seen this happen before when girls have been injured before, and guys too, and the next game they're not 100% strength-wise, and it might be, you know, like the chiropractor puts your bones back in order and they're supposed to be. You just might not be the way you're supposed to be. I'm thinking it is a little bit too much. Watkins is one of the 5 best players in women's college basketball. She may be the best. She is an amazing talent, and she's going to be worth about 9 points to the betting line. She's that good. Wow. So shame that she's out. The other storyline I wanted to talk about, again, it goes back to seeding, and the people who are seeding have no idea how good these teams are. And it shows up in the Vegas betting line all the time. Notre Dame is a 3 seed. I don't know how they could be a 3 seed. They were number 1 in the country for 6 weeks, and now they're a 3 seed. And now they're facing a 2 seed. And who's the favorite? The 3 seed by 5.5. And Jeff, when you mentioned the teams that are best in the country, you didn't name Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's better than all of the teams that you mentioned. And the only reason you didn't know that was because they're a 3 seed.
Well, I will tell you, I did know they were number 1 in the country for 6 weeks. I thought they had fallen off over the last month because their schedule was backloaded. Super backloaded schedule. Now, you look at TCU, who's the 2 seed, a little bit overvalued. Big 12 is not as good of a women's basketball conference as the ACC, as the SEC, as we know. And the Big 10, it's still a mind-blowing thing that USC and UCLA have to be looked at as Big 10, but here we are in 2025. But it is interesting to see that already. And it opened 4.5, got bet up to 5.5 on that one. That is what? That is Saturday out in Birmingham for that one. And boy, looking at these early numbers, 17.5 is your biggest number right now for the ladies tournament over the weekend with South Carolina against Maryland. And then Connecticut is 14.5 against Oklahoma. Talk about a team that I would imagine your power rankings, Kenny, was a 1 seed quality for a good chunk of the year, if not all of it as well, UConn.
Yeah, they're one of the top 4 teams in the country. Paige Beckers is a great player, and then Ozzie Fudd, who said she's coming back, so that's a big bonus for Connecticut. She's another one of the top 10 players in the country. So, yeah, they're a very solid basketball team. South Carolina plays the best defense still. However, this year's South Carolina team doesn't have that one explosive scorer to make a difference. Texas plays tremendous defense. They have no 3-point shooting. Notre Dame does everything well. Their defense just isn't as good as those 2 teams, but they can score it as well as anybody in the country. And it's going to be they lost to TCU already this year. And when you thought they were going backwards, sometimes it's like the bubble burst theory. Notre Dame lost a game and they got knocked from the 1 seed. That's bubble burst. And they lost their next game right after that. But since then, I don't know, their ATS record this year, I don't have it in front of me, but it must be like 22-10. They've overachieved to the betting line, but that's because I don't think people knew how good this team was. They have a superstar on their bench that never plays. They have a girl on their bench who averaged 17.4 a game at Marquette last year. She's a 3-year starter. She can't break the starting lineup. This is how good Notre Dame is.
So you're saying there's value,
I made this one 12. I made this one 12 and a half. And
wow.
There's no comparison between the two teams, and even coaching. The TCU coach is brand new, first year. This is TCU's first time in the dance in I don't know how long. They struggled the first game, and they came out. They played much better the second game. They were a better team than the two teams they played. This is a situation where they already beat Notre Dame earlier in the year. Notre Dame's got the revenge factor. I didn't even add that in. I could add 2.5 points in. And make the game 15, but I don't need to. I know I've got the better team. They're the better all-around team, and they'll win this basketball game. It's the motivation of knowing they were the 3 seed when they know they're one of the top 4 teams in the country. I have no idea how they dropped to the 4 seed. Really, I really don't.
That game you referenced back in November was a 31-12 fourth quarter for TCU in order to pull that game out.
Yeah.
So it was one really bad quarter by the Irish over the weekend. For this one, but again, the big story with Juju Watkins, her season is over, and it will impact next season as well. Just a matter of how much. Could be all of it. Could be 75% of it. Just a brutal one, of course, with the injury to the best player in women's college basketball. All right. We go to the NIT. What a difference we'll go here. So, just as we all expected, a Chattanooga and Bradley matchup in the quarterfinals. Winner goes to Indianapolis. Both of these games today. Credit both of these teams. Bradley, who was basically the second team. Well, not basically. They were the second team all year long in the Valley. Just came up short against Drake, who ended up winning a game in the NCAA tournament. Chattanooga, who is the 1 seed in the SoCon Conference. It's never been a question of their offense. Their defense was always the issue. An elite offense for the Mocs. Alex, 3.5 on this game. Of course, this game is in Peoria, home site for Bradley in this one with a total of 151.5. Braves, 3.5-0.
Well, you mentioned it. Chattanooga way better on the offensive side than the defensive side, and Bradley is as well. So it's a lean to the over. I actually made this game higher, but I think 3.5 is just right on the side. Just a matter of if I want to bet an over this late in the tournament.
Yeah, I don't think you can add as many points now we're starting to get to the point where it starts to get serious. We can go to, I guess it's still in Madison Square Garden. That's where it's always been. I don't know if they switched that or not, Jeff. Championship.
Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Oh, so they're going to Butler.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess it's still prestigious to play in the championship. So now that I think these games mean a little bit more. My number on this game's right on. I made Bradley 3, total of 154, but I overinflated a little bit because all of these NIT games have been going over. It's been a ATM machine.
Been even with all the betting, the bets on the over, it's still been
didn't matter.
Hasn't mattered at all on this. All right, low total next. And monster contrast to Styles and Stillwater and Gallagher-Iba tonight. Oklahoma State's a 1-point favorite against North Texas. Oklahoma State wants to run. We've been over with North Texas plenty of times. One of the 5 slowest teams in the entire country. Honestly, very interested to see how this plays out tonight, Alex. Pokes won at home, total 136.5. Boy, you're never going to see that sort of total in an Oklahoma State game. That just shows what North Texas wants to do.
Yes, it does. And, I tried to go against North Texas the last time they played and go with an over there, thinking it was meaningless. But they really locked down their defense. So I still like this game under that 136.5. I think it's a little too high. It is a very meaningful game. And as much as Oklahoma State wants to run, North Texas is going to slow this down to a crawl, both off on the offensive side and the defensive side. They play really good transition defense as well. So, I like the under. I know it is scary, contrast to Styles here, but both of them are better defensive teams than offensive teams.
I'm not worried about the contrasting styles. I know who's going to win out. It's going to be Texas State. They're going to slow this to a crawl. They're going to turn it into a half-court game. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no way. Oklahoma State's not a good enough offensive team to control the pace and get the lead. They're way better defensively, Oklahoma State is. So looking at some slow teams, and none of these teams are as near as slow as North Texas. Tarleton State, 66-61. Houston, this is a perfect example, maybe, but Houston's a way better offensive team, 60-47. West Virginia, 69-50. And then the one high-scoring game, there's Houston again. They lost 72-63. That one came 135, but that's the only one that came close to this total. I don't see this total getting over 120 unless there's the dreaded word of when teams are tied late in the game.
We don't say that. It's kind of like
I hate that word. I wish there was no such thing.
I do have one quick follow up, real quick, on this total, because this tournament, honestly, both of the other tournaments have been so good with these overs, even with numbers going up. Is there any concern of just the fact that this is the NIT, Kenny, and this has just been a offense first fest more so than anything? Or is it just, like you said, just Oklahoma State, when they played the high-end defenses, have really had their issues?
Well, as I mentioned, that when this tournament started in the first game, the coaches are like, all right, let's go have fun. The kids are like, let's have fun. And that being said, the pace was 57 in their first game against Furman.
Right.
So let's go have fun, but we're still not going we're still not going to run. And then it was 61 against Arkansas State. Now they're playing Oklahoma State, a Big 12 school that they're right down the road from. They're in northeast Texas to Oklahoma. This is a monster game for the Mean Green. They would love to beat a Big 12 team. They're going to slow this down to a crawl.
Just to add to that, too, so that final against Arkansas State was 65-63, closed at 137. So it's right in that same margin. And Arkansas State, they want to play fast, too. They're the 50 fastest team in the country. So that gives me some more confidence about it as well.
Let's go to the CBI here. Throw out the record books when Illinois State and Incarnate Word do battle here. Redbirds, 6.5. Total 149 down in Daytona here for this one, Alex.
This is a tough one here because both of them do play at a slower pace, but both of them are pretty good on the offensive side, especially Illinois State. I do agree with them being the favorite here. They're not a good offensive rebounding team because they are very good at shooting and not used to having to do that. So we'll see how they do in this one against a team that is very good on the boards in Incarnate Word. But two good offensive teams, slower pace though. I think that 150 is just right.
Yeah, I apologize. I've been so busy this morning doing women's college basketball and then college baseball totals. I thought I finished my sheet and did not put my ratings on today's sheet. I think I ran them, but I don't have it. So I don't have a number on this game right now. Couldn't help. I can't help you on these next two games.
We'll be quick on this next one then, Alex. Florida Gulf Coast, Cleveland State. Army covered the number yesterday. Yes, against FGCU, so good call on that. 137.5 with Vikings favored by 4.5 against the Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast.
Lean to taking the points here with Florida Gulf Coast. Got that first game out of their system after having so much time off, and that's what we were kind of looking at with Army, which I got too cute with the first half. Full game, they definitely covered that one. So I think that number's pretty good, but I lean to taking the points there.
Oh, but you were right there to cover. It was they were down 3 with a minute 30 to go, and the other team scores, steal, 3-pointer, and you lose. You barely lose the game. And Navy or Army missed 2 layups in the last 30 seconds of that first half. So there was no doubt, conditioning wise, Army was the better team. They were in far better condition.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought Army got in the door there yesterday.
Not the first half.
Full game.
Full game.
Okay,
they did.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
They had a chance to win the game in full game. They came back to.
Yeah. No. Okay. All right. I got the full game.
Yeah.
At least there on the Black Knights. All right. Hockey. Let's go to the ice. Let's go to the ice here. And by the way, stay tuned early. And also, you might want to check the bottom of the ticker right now. There might be a good trivia question down there for you. Might be. JR, we got you. We actually, it's very nice to watch the games with JR on Friday. Good guy. Didn't deserve to get booed by Sean. Throwing that out there yet again. All right, Alex, hockey today. We got 4 to look at. Let's start in Raleigh with Nashville and Carolina. This is a monster line. The Canes are 280 favorites in this one with a total of 5.5 plus 240 on the Preds if you want to take a big price back.
Well, I definitely understand that line there with Carolina. They are playing playoff hockey right now, 9-1 in their last 10. And I think Nashville's finally waved that white flag, 8-22-5 on the road this year. But I'm looking at the under here. I like under 5.5 at that even price here. I made it 5 over. Minus 120, so we're getting a little bit of value there. But, I mean, Carolina, they've had 2 overs in a row, but that was against the Kings and the Ducks, and the Kings can definitely score when need be. But Nashville's really struggled to do that all year long, but they've been a very good defensive team, and Soros has played very good hockey. So Nashville's 32nd in goals for, and they're tied for 24th in goals against. So I think they'll play their hardest in this one, at least on the defensive side, so under 5.5.
Game 2 on the card. Potentially the Marc-Andre Fleury Bowl for one last time up in St. Paul tonight. Wild Knights. VGK, big favorite on the road, $1.90 with a total of 5.5 here.
So this is not an official play, but I do lean to the under with these two as well. Again, I made it 5.25, so that one's a little bit closer there. But really just the way Vegas has been playing as well. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10 games, and they're 7th right now in goals against. The Wild have struggled all year, tied for 26 in goals for, but I do think Marc-Andre Fleury will be ready for this one against his former team. And he does have pretty good numbers on the year, 2.73 goals against and a .904 save percentage, which is very close to Adin Hill, .907. So 2 good goalies. And we've seen Marc-Andre Fleury. He's done very well against his former teams on his farewell tour here.
Going to St. Louis. Next, Blues, Canadiens in downtown St. Louis tonight. Total 5.5 on this one. Blues, $1.55 favorites with plus 135 on the take back on Habs.
So I actually made this game 6. I think there's some value here now. It is minus 130. I did see some minus 120s going over 5.5 out there on the market. So you could shop around, get a better price. But trending to the over here, the Canadiens on the road, they've had a nice over trend. And both of these teams can score. Canadiens are 13th in goals for. The Blues are 16th. And then Montreal struggles on the defensive side, tied for 24th in goals against. So based off a number alone, I made this game 6. So going over that 5.5.
And we end in Calgary tonight. The Flames, a favorite at home against the Kraken of Seattle, $1.35 on the Flames. Total 5.5, Alex.
So I made this game a lot higher with the Flames at home. We've been talking about it all year long. Very good home team. It's kind of caught up to them a little bit. 18-11-5, but that's still a lot better than the other side with the Kraken, 14-21 on the road. This team, we talked about them yesterday. They're still trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. So I expect a really good performance here from the Flames being at home. I think this is a great price. I have at least a 20-cent difference here, and that's what we like to see in hockey and baseball. So I also think we have the better goalie here with Dustin Wolf, 2.63 goals against and a .911 save percentage.
Flames, the look here north of the border in this one. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to do early whiteboards. Do we have a trivia? Did anyone answer the trivia question yet or no? All right, we might have to hold that for super, super late here in this one. And early whiteboards, we'll also look at the Sweet 16, including some odds that the South Point put up with some regions, some conferences, and some more. When we get back, Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Get ready to laugh with Punchlines with Frank Nicotero. Join Frank and his team of featured guests for your daily dose of comedy.
Reno, the Pittsburgh of the West.
Poison.
Yeah.
Poison.
Sports.
F for Falcons, Alex. We were talking Derek Carr for MVP after 2 games.
Who's we?
Okay, me. I was.
And the funniest social media posts.
People want to show off their food. Boom. Wiener on a guy's shoulder. It's the dark tones. We bleed blue.
It's your one-stop spot for great laughs and a good time. Find us on YouTube at Punchlines FN. And join the chat live weekdays at noon Pacific for the ultimate blend of jokes, sports, and viral fun.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu. Plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome back in. Early version of Whiteboard's coming up in a second, but that trivia question got answered pretty quickly today. Good one from Vincent Ryan here today. What 3 players turned coaches have won NCAA championships as both the player and the head coach? And the 3 were Joe B. Hall, which I would not have gotten. Of course, was on a Kentucky championship team in 49 and then won one as a coach in 78. Dean Smith, who won as a player at KU and then won twice at North Carolina, 82 and 93. And then Bob Knight, who won at Ohio State as a player and then won 3, 76. Undefeated team, 81, and then 1987, Keith Smart over Syracuse. The 3 for Bob Knight. Nick got it. No, 2 in a row for Nick.
Getting upset.
On the chat trivia. Beating JR. So, hey, look.
It was the last undefeated team ever in college basketball.
In 76?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Still chasing it. We got close with Kentucky.
Yeah.
We got super close in 2015. And, of course, we know Wisconsin beat them, and then Wisconsin didn't even win the title. Duke beat them 2 nights later in Indianapolis that night. All right. Hit the animation, Ryan. Whiteboards here on a Tuesday. Early going. We'll be going fully into the Sweet 16 after the whiteboards here today. So we're doing it a little bit different here on a Tuesday. And we begin with Alex White.
And I am going with an NIT game here with an under North Texas and Oklahoma State, under 136.5. And then I have 2 hockey for you. The Canadiens and St. Louis. We're going over 5.5, minus 120. And then I like a favorite, Calgary Flames at home, minus 129 is the best number that I saw.
2 in college hoops tonight. Oklahoma State under with North Texas, under the 136.5. Now it's going down. And then Incarnate Word, I like, plus 6.5. I finished my work on that. Not a huge difference. I made it 4. But it's definitely worth a play for me, I think, in this type of situation that this will be a close game. Women's basketball this weekend coming up. Friday, Saturday is the women's Sweet 16. Notre Dame, I've talked about them a lot already. Minus the 5.5, guaranteed this will be going up. North Texas, they're on my mind. North Carolina State playing LSU. This is going to be a great game in Spokane, Washington. But I'm taking North Carolina State plus the 3. And then Oklahoma's battle in Connecticut. I like this Oklahoma team. I'm taking 14.5 with the Sooners.
Get on those early, because they will move through the week with the trio for Kenny coming up over the weekend. Be a fun weekend in women's college basketball and men's college basketball. We are going to take a quick break. Those are the whiteboards here today. When we get back, we're going to go full through the Sweet 16 right here on Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. There are your whiteboards for one more shout out here on a Tuesday morning.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu. Plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles. She's Alex White. He's Kenny White. Looking at the Sweet 16, the chalk fest that has been the 2025 NCAA tournament. There's your bracket right now. Cinderella's John Calipari. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'd argue that Ole Miss right now, even though BYU was there as a 6, They're number 2. The Ole Miss is the only team other than Arkansas. There's only 2 teams in this tournament that have won both games as an underdog. Ole Miss, Arkansas Razorbacks. That's it. We're the only 2 teams to win 2 games as an underdog in this tournament. Shout out North Carolina. We hardly knew you in this tournament. All right, let's get into it for Thursday. We start in Newark, New Jersey. First time they've been back in this venue in the NCAA tournament since 2011. That was John Calipari in Kentucky getting to the Final Four out of that pod back in the day. Brendan Knight, Josh Harrelson. But a little bit different this go-around is the overall favorites to win, the second favorites to win a national championship here at the South Point. The Duke Blue Devils will play the nightcap, but because this is rotation number order here with these games, we'll go through it in this. This is the first one up there, the top of the bracket there. The Duke Blue Devils, who dominated both of their first 2 games, covered as a gigantic favorite against Mount St. Mary's. And then on Sunday, competitive for about 12 minutes or so, and then Duke just pummeled Baylor the last 28 minutes, winning by 23, 89 to 66. The final of that game against Baylor. Alex, 9.5 with this one. Arizona, of course, the first 2, number dependent in the second game. All depend on what number you got.
Right.
If you got the mid-range numbers of the 3.5, you won. You got the early number. If you laid a bad number early, 4, you pushed. All the other numbers got there with Oregon for Arizona. Arizona covered all against Akron. 9.5, 153.5. Blue Devils favored in the nightcap in Newark.
Really excited to start with this one and to talk this through with you guys because I'm definitely looking at that 9.5 with Arizona. Want to see how you guys are feeling about this. Couple things though. I mean, Duke in that game against Baylor, there was a second where I was like, they haven't played many tight games, right? ACC is down this year. Let's see what happens against real competition. And then they really just ran away with it, like you said, about 28 minutes of that game. I do think this is the better team with Arizona Wildcats. I like what I saw from them, especially from the comeback against Oregon State, because against Oregon Ducks, because they were behind. It was looking a little scary. I like how Caleb Love has been playing. I think they're going to need his best game to hang in there against Duke, but we know that, he's already faced Duke, and it hasn't been a Cooper Flagg one, except for this year when they lost. He hasn't beaten Duke led by Cooper Flagg, so that makes it a little bit tougher to handicap as well. But just raw power rating numbers, I've got it about 7.5, so looking at a 2-point difference here. Is that enough to take the Cats here against the number 1 team?
Yeah, I don't know if it is either. I made it 7. And Arizona impressed me. I watched them play against Oregon. They're a very athletic team. They have 5 players that all have quick first steps. They can get to the rim. Duke's defense is really good, but I don't know if they're the type of defense that can force Arizona into feeling uncomfortable here. I think the Wildcats can play with them. They've lost already one time at home. That was early in the year, but it was a bunch of freshmen for Duke that won that game on the road. Duke is definitely the better basketball team. This game comes down to if Arizona can hang around long enough, they cover. If they fall behind, they could lose their confidence once again, and Duke runs it out. I haven't bet the game, but I'm leaning towards Arizona if I can get the right number.
I thought the win for Arizona against Oregon was the best win of the Tommy Lloyd era. And I really don't think it was particularly close either. They were in a 19-4 hole.
Yeah.
They looked completely out of whack. Looked like they didn't even want to be there in a round of 32. They ended up winning the game. It was also the best Caleb Love game in a very long time. He was efficient. He was making smart decisions. Things we've not seen much from Caleb Love in his entire college career, except for the magical run to the national title game for North Carolina a few years back. This feels like a lot of points, but going in front of the Duke blowtorch does not feel like a fun exercise right now. Maybe you'll do it in the Elite Eight, depending on who wins that BYU-Alabama game.
Yeah.
It's also Tom. I still don't trust Tommy Lloyd in the big spot, but he's playing with house money. No one expected Arizona to win this game against Duke. No one. It's 4-1 on the money line with Arizona. Just wonder, though, and the point you made is a good one, Alex. What happens if this game is close at the end of the game? How does Duke look? And really played tight games this year. They bludgeoned everyone. So very curious. I'm going to pass. I really want to see how Arizona looks early, because if they go with the start they did against Oregon, they're going to lose by 30. Yeah. Like Duke will not let them off the mat like the Ducks did. It won't happen. So very curious to see how it plays out. I'm going to stay off, but it does feel like a lot at that 9.5. Kenny, I want to ask you real quick, actually. Do you think this thing touches 10, goes north of 10, just because you imagine that there will be public backing on Duke at any number the rest of the way?
It might. When I first put my numbers on my sheet, I saw the 9.5 opener, but was bet down to 9 at Circa.
Yep.
So, but now back up to 9.5 everywhere. That's the market number. I think it's going to stay steady at 9.5. I think Arizona can get out early in this game and surprise Duke a little bit. I'm thinking 1st to 15 might be a nice bet on Arizona here. You can get a nice plus price on them.
You're going to be getting good prices in this Sweet 16, because even though I think this is going to be a super competitive round, the shortest line is only 3.5. There are a lot of bigger numbers than you would anticipate for us, but as chalky as this tournament has been, there are a lot of reasonably sized numbers in this round of 16 going along.
So 1st to 15, not first half, because that's what I was kind of thinking too.
I don't mind first half either. Like I said, I watched this the other night. Arizona was quicker. They were stronger than Oregon. Now we're talking about Oregon, who's, I think Ken Pom has 28th in the country. We're not talking about Duke. But watching that game, Arizona was quicker. They were stronger. They were faster. They got their shots much easier. Oregon, I don't know how they hung in the game, because me watching it was like Oregon had to hit amazing shots in the second half to stay close, where everything Arizona did, they missed some layups. And if they would have hit those layups, they would have won the game by 10 or 12 points. Oregon was lucky to stay in that game.
It was a very intriguing game. That Seattle pod on Sunday, boy, got some unbelievable games in that one. And the only buzzer beater of this tournament with Derek Queen, which we'll get to Maryland a little bit later. All right, now to a game that I am unbelievably excited to see how it plays out, because we're going to leave the defenses at home in this one. Alabama and BYU. And Alabama's a 5-point favorite in this game against Brigham Young. Opening numbers ranged anywhere from 4, 4.5. There's even some 3.5 on some super early ones. South Point opened 4.5. This one is a total where South Point opened 175. It's only gone up a half. I understand it's the NCAA tournament. I understand the games can get tight. If this game was a regular season game, this is coming what? 181? 182? And even with the tightness of what an NCAA tournament game should bring, I don't see this game being played in the 170s. I still see this game, Alex, being played in the 180s, regardless of result here. Especially, I mean, my goodness, imagine if these teams shoot well. We might get the 190s in this game.
I agree. And you're right, Jeff. That's like right around the number that I made at 181 here between these two. So it is a difference. I have not bet it yet. And I lean to the favorite here. I mean, BYU's been very impressive, especially on the offensive side. They're playing their best basketball. But now I just think they are playing against the big brother that's already kind of done this style, playing fast, focused offensively. They've got the more athletic team and the more experienced team. So I trust Nate Oates in this spot, and I would lean to the favorite. I have not played it. I don't know about laying the 5 either. Maybe I just take Bama on the money line.
Yeah, I made it 5.5. There's no way. There's no value in the game. I think it's the right number. I watched Mark Sears play the other day. I was just watching him against St. Mary's, and I bet Alabama because I had a pretty good size difference. I made him 9.5 against St. Mary's. And St. Mary's is so well coached, and they have so many really good players that really know how to play the game of basketball. They're an extremely smart team. They could not play with Mark Sears. Mark Sears was the difference maker for Alabama in that game, and he could be the difference maker here in this one. But again, I think the number is just about right. BYU's got a really good team. I don't know what Kevin Young did. I don't know how he put this team together. but he put together a top 16 team in the country from scratch. And he's got a really good group, and Jeff's right. It would, this total regular season wise would be 182, 183 in that range. And I don't see why it couldn't be that in this game, because these two teams play fast and they both can score. They can really score. So I think it's going to be an over game. I think it gets there. I think they go over this total.
This is only the beginning for BYU, too, with Kevin Young. They have a huge NIL budget. A.J. Dinbasta, the number one player in the country, is going there next year. This was kind of like a free roll year for BYU, and they're in the Sweet 16. Yeah. And sidewise, I think this is a little bit of a cop-out, but the team that shoots better is going to win the game. Yeah. Yes, I understand that's how basketball works, but these teams legitimately play the same style. And look, if you're BYU and you catch Bama on a night where they're not hitting their threes, BYU can win this game. Vice versa, if Bama catches BYU on a night where BYU's not shooting well, I think Bama could run them out. So I would prefer the total. I mean, well, we're probably going to get 77, 78 possessions in this game. We're going to get some wacko number possession-wise in this one. So, again, would still look to that total. Futures odds in the East, real quick. Duke opened $1.40. They're $1.80 now. That's laying the price. They're the biggest regional favorite left right now. Bama opened at 4-1. Just knock a quarter off. Not much more. Plus 375 there. Zona opened 8-1 here at the South Point. Now 7-1. BYU is really the biggest mover here in this one, from 20-1 to 8-1, Alex, wow, to win the region. Is there any argument for anyone that is not Duke here in this one?
Well, I would make an argument for Bama, but I think all three of us have a future on that team already, so I wouldn't jump in myself, and I don't even know if that is the right price with the beating BYU, then having to face Duke there. I don't know what the number would be against Duke, so I don't know. Tough.
I think Duke will be about 4.5 against Bama. So, you still got to beat BYU.
Yeah, and I think that's why it moved. A lot of people have this upset.
I think about 450 to 1. So I mean, you're not getting that bad a deal convenience wise. If you can get plus $4 with Bama right now, I think you got a decent play. Well, and Arizona, I don't know what the price is, but if you just bet Arizona money line in this game,
you're going to be rolling over better anyway.
Huge.
I mean, if Bama beats BYU, you're getting better than 7-1. If you Arizona money line this game, roll it over into the next one, you're getting better than 7-1 on whatever you get in the next one. All right, let's move along. We continue on. We will now move on over to the other Thursday games here on the Sweet 16 preview. You see all three of us, Jeff, Alex, Kenny, going with the West region, and we will go in rotation numbers again. The late night Cinderella's the Hogs of Arkansas, as we all expected, the highest seed left in this tournament. And they take on a Texas Tech team who just handles their darn business all the way through. They handled it against Drake. They were not perfect against UNC Wilmington. They didn't cover, but they got it done in their round one victory. Texas Tech behind JT Toppin, who really dominated that game against Drake on Saturday evening, is a 5.5-point favorite in this one against Arkansas, who upset Kansas in round one, upset St. John's in round two, trying to go 3 for 3. It looks like Thero's going to play. John Calipari earlier on Tuesday was on McAfee and said that he will be available. Thero will be to play in this game on Thursday night. Alex, 5.5 and 147. In this one, of course, the Red Raiders favorite over the Hogs.
That makes me a little bit nervous there. Is that a little bit of smoke and mirrors? Because, I mean, it was like a knee injury that he was out, right? So it'll be interesting. That's definitely something to keep an eye on to see if he is playing, because that is the player that you were hoping was coming back for Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken.
He's their best player. Out 9 games, they get him back. It's about a 4.5-point adjustment. I'm only making this game. I got Texas Tech 6 with him out. I'd have them 1.5 with him in. Arkansas could win this game, but again, probably going to be a little rusty being out as long as he's been out. Texas Tech's offense is just so good. This is Grant McCaslin, came from North Texas. He was the guy that architected the Mean Green. I think he copied Tony Bennett's Virginia team into slow down defensive basketball, give yourself a chance to win, and they did. And now he's at a school where they do play slow and they do play great defense, but he's got a great offensive team. This is such a good team. Athletically, they're about the same. I made my number 6. If I know Thiero's playing and he's going to log 20, 25 minutes, Arkansas's got a chance to win this game straight up.
Ooh, already beat Bill Self and then Rick Pitino. Nobody really saw this from Arkansas, the only double-digit seed. But I just wonder if they have what they have left. And how much of it was Arkansas winning as opposed to St. John's kind of beating themselves. Had a terrible shooting night, which we were kind of worried about with them going into the tournament.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. St. John's basically played their D- game, and Arkansas still almost lost the game. The thing with the Hogs, as has been all year, again, Calipari deserves a little bit of credit for salvaging this and getting to the second weekend. I still don't think he does anything in-game for him at this point. This is a coaching mismatch in favor of McCaslin, as Kenny said. And they're just so rock solid. They just do. It feels like they do everything correctly. I would be floored if Arkansas pulled off their 3rd straight upset here. I think Texas Tech is solid to win. Find someone to partner with, and moneyline parlay would be the way to do it. I'm not really interested in laying 5.5, but if the Hogs get bet, maybe come in on a lesser number on Texas Tech here for this one. All right, we now go to the top of the bracket, the earlier game in the West, and boy, was Maryland lucky to get out alive against Colorado State. A pretty insane last 15 seconds. Colorado State hits a 3. Maryland timeout with under 4 seconds. They get it to their stud freshman, Derek Queen. I know people were complaining about the potential travel. A call never gets made in that spot. And also, if that play happened at the 7-minute mark of the first half, I don't think that's getting called at this point. Shaw was insanely difficult. Amazing play by Queen. Maryland's here with that win, 72-71. And then Florida, boy, if you had the under in Florida, UConn, yikes. They don't cover. And honestly, if it wasn't for Walter Clayton, they probably would have lost to UConn. Clayton totally bails them out over the last 2 minutes of the game. Some NBA caliber shots to advance Florida. Kenny, this is a really interesting game to me because I think Maryland has the horses to stay in. The question, as it's always been with this Terp team, is the depth able to held up against a team that is super deep like this Gator team is? 158 here in this one in San Francisco at 7 o'clock Eastern on Thursday night.
Money just continues to come in on the Gators. And we're going to go back to Kevin Willard and his dad, the way he coached. Never could win as a favorite because he never had his teams prepare. But when he was an underdog, he was one of the best underdog coaches in college basketball, and I think his son's the same way. He didn't have his team ready for Colorado State. I think they thought they could walk right past them. This game, they know they can't. They know they're the dog. I think they're going to come out and play. I made it 5. I'd like to get 7.5. I don't know if I'm going to get 7.5, but if I see it, that's what I'm grabbing. I lean to the over because both of these teams play extremely fast. They both love to run on offense, so we'll see if it goes back and forth. Well,
the bettors have kind of beat you to that total. Opened a little bit lower now, up to 158. So
yeah. Oh, forget it.
But I'm with you. If I can get 7.5 or 8 here with Maryland, I'll take my shot. I'm just curious to see what we get from both of these teams. Just like Jeff just painted the picture of what both of them just went through. We'll see how they respond in this next game. But Maryland, I mean, that was a fantastic buzzer beater there to move on. That
was the best game of the tournament.
Yeah,
the best finish by margin, and I agree with you, Kenny. It was as good of a game as we've seen in this tournament. Back and forth most of the second half.
Yes,
drama at the end. Honestly, it was kind of a discussion of does Colorado State go for the win? Do they just try to play it for overtime?
Yeah.
Draw up the perfect play and actually left too much time left.
Yeah.
Even though, again, I like shooting it a little early, give yourself a crack at an offensive rebound and Didn't matter. An elite player made an elite play in Derek Queen. And by the way, good thing that game ended in regulation for the under, because if it goes overtime, you were totally done with that 144 on that total. Futures in this market. Gators are up to $1.40 now to win this region. Texas Tech is plus 280 after opening plus 450. Maryland cut in half from the opener, 10-1, now 5-1. And then Arkansas, the biggest mover, from 60-1 to 10-1. All I'll say is if you're going to take one of the two dogs, you're more likely than not better off just money lining them in game one and then money lining what you won with in game two. Just going to get a better price here. I don't think Florida should be $1.40 though. As good as they are, I just think that number is a little bit. I think we're giving as good. Again, they could still win a national championship. They're the betting favorite here at the South Point to win it all. I don't think they should be shorter than either of the other 2 1 seeds in the South and the Midwest. And here they are at $1.40. I think Texas Tech is live to beat them. I think Maryland is live to beat them if they play their A game. But here you are, Alex.
I agree. Especially, looking at the bracket, filling out before going into this tournament, there was just so much hype on Florida, and almost thought maybe they could get a big head and, trip up somewhere. And we almost saw it against the 2-time defending champion, but there's still a lot of room here for error coming up. So I think Texas Tech is a very good team. And that's a pretty good number.
Thiero comes back for Arkansas. 10-1 looks like a bargain to me. They would, again, I think this line would be closer to 2 or 2.5 against Arkansas and Florida. And then if they have Thiero over the next game, they're the favorite. They'd be the favorite against Texas Tech or Maryland, doesn't matter. So I was going to make a case for Maryland at plus $5 because I think that's a decent price for them. But I think the better value is going to be Arkansas if they got their guy back.
We continue to move along. By the way, the only bet I would even consider there is Texas Tech at the current numbers. That would be the only one I'd even consider. Again, rollover, I think you can get some reasonable number. It's on Maryland for certain. All right, let's move along. We keep it rolling here, previewing the Sweet 16. Jeff, Alex, and Kenny. We go to the South region, the top of the bracket in the NCAA tournament. Number 1 overall seed Auburn had their work cut out for them on Saturday, but they end up covering the game against Creighton. Boy, there have been some sick ones in this tournament. That Creighton one was a pretty sick one if you were on the Jays and just ended up not getting there in the end. And they take on Michigan, who, look, I still am not certain of how good this Michigan team truly is, but credit to them. They toasted A&M the last 9 minutes of that game in Denver on Saturday. End up winning comfortably. Finally, a win by not single digits there, Alex. Yeah. They beat A&M. Alex, we have 8.5 with Auburn. Game in Atlanta for this one, with a total of 143.5.
8.5. Getting a little bit too high for me. If it gets any higher, I will be jumping on with Michigan. They're just playing some really good basketball. They're playing with confidence, and we kind of talked about it early on, though, with those close wins. They learned how to win in those tight games. So, yeah, I would look at Michigan here in this spot, especially because Auburn is making me a little nervous, and we really need Broome to step up, and we haven't really seen his shooting like we did in the regular season. So I think that's a lot of points here, even though I made it 7, so it's not a big enough difference for me yet, but I'm leaning to the dog.
Hey, I'm wondering if Michigan can make Broome uncomfortable with Golden and Wolf, and you got 2 7-footers in the game to always kind of be in Broome's face. I think it's going to be the key to the game. My numbers are right there, 7.5, 151, so I have no play.
I kind of like Michigan plus the points here, which is kind of ironic for what I've said about the Wolverines all the way through. But they have the bodies to contend with Broome, right? You got Golden, you got Wolf. Now, could Broome put 2 fouls on Golden quickly, and then this is a totally different game, and they're relying on Cheddar to really be an impactful player in this game? Yeah, sure, it could happen. And Auburn is so immensely talented. When they play their game, they still are the best team in the country. We just haven't seen it that much of late. but this feels like a lot at 8.5. And quite frankly, I want to see if this goes higher. I would love to see a 9, maybe even a 9.5, but especially if chalk prevails on Thursday, because this is a Friday game. But boy, I don't think Michigan is the horses to win this game, but they've defied logic all year long, at least on my end. So let's get a little higher. We get 9.5. I'll be on the Wolverines on Friday night.
I completely agree.
Let's go to the earlier game in this pod. Boy, we could end up, if Michigan pulls the stunner and then the Spartans handle their business as the shortest favorite on the board, by the way, in this round of 16, we would get Michigan State for the first time in the NCAA tournament if that were to happen. Spartans, again, not overly impressive, but they cover both games. Somehow they covered the New Mexico game, another one of those sick ones if you had New Mexico. They covered against Bryant pretty easily, another one where Bryant was covering for basically the whole game and then melted the last 7 minutes. Ole Miss on the other side here, they got up huge against North Carolina. They had to get bailed out by Padula at the end when things got super, super tight, but they won. And then they just beat the crap out of Iowa State. Just completely destroyed them in a game that was never competitive. And credit to Chris Beard to get Ole Miss to the second weekend. Alex, 3.5, 144. His number feels a little short on the surface for me, but I'm going to stay off of it. Just because Michigan State, this is a big leap from what they've seen so far in this tournament. And they have been shaky for about 30 minutes of both of their first tournament games.
Yeah, but I really trust this team. I mean, I think that number's just right, so I really don't have a play. But I wish I would have known about Chris Beard being so angry. Did you see, if you follow Awful Announcing, Tim Doyle called him out that the Rebels were a fraud, and after their second win, he said, "Where's Tim Doyle, your friend from CBS?" So now they've got 2 wins under their belt, and I think they're going to be highly motivated for this one to take on the 2 seed. But I do think that number is correct.
My numbers are right there. But Chris Beard spoke the other night against Iowa State, and they said, "Did you have any concern when you fell behind?" He said, absolutely not. We're the more well-conditioned team. Our athletes are in great condition. And I think that's the one, his key of his success is he probably pushes his players harder in practice than anybody else does. And they're stronger and faster and quicker. And if that's the case, they'll win this game. They'll win this game because their defense is going to be the better defense.
Yeah, but don't forget you have Tom Izzo on the other side.
I know that.
Sure.
I know, and he's going to go defense and rebounding. Again, my numbers are right there, but if we're going to talk conditioning and who's the better conditioned team right now, if it's Mississippi, and you're going to give me points with the better conditioned team, I'm going to take Mississippi.
The only thing I'll throw out here real quick is shooting regression potential for Ole Miss scares me a little bit here. 58% against Iowa State, 58% from 3. Now you're playing another high-level defense in Michigan State. I just wonder if there's any sort of shooting regression. Again, I'm staying out of this game. If you told me Ole Miss won the game, I wouldn't be shocked because, again, these are two elite coaches. Beard should have won the national championship at Texas Tech. His roster is so good at Texas that Rodney Terry got to the Elite Eight. I mean, Beard is an amazing college basketball coach, and Tom Izzo is Tom Izzo. So this is a high-level coaching matchup in this game, and I'm very curious to see how it plays out. Even though, again, everyone seems to, not us on the desk, but a lot of people seem to dislike this Michigan State team a lot. I'm not in that camp. I think they're a lot better than a lot of people are giving them credit for throughout this lay here, Alex.
Well, everybody likes Tom Izzo as a dog, right, or as a lower seed. But now that they're actually in that 2 seed, you're right. I hear a lot of people wanting to go against them. But it's a step up in competition for both of them because Ole Miss, North Carolina, people arguing they shouldn't have been in it, and then Iowa State without Gilbert. So we'll see what they can do against this full roster here.
And if there's a regression with their shooting, I'm thinking under because this is going to be such a close game, tight. Tom Izzo is about defense and rebounding. And when the game gets big, he slows everything down to a crawl and he turns it into a half-court game. So this total could be far, far too high.
Looking at the regional prices here for the South, Auburn open minus 110 or only moved to $1.30, so not an aggressive move. on Auburn. Michigan State opened at plus 475. They're now plus 250. Ole Miss is actually shorter than Michigan. Rebs at 7-1. Michigan at plus 750. I don't think there's much value to be had here because, man, probably still getting the better rollover, laying $1.70 with Michigan State, then taking whatever price it is, coupled in with your winnings on that. Ole Miss, we already saw in the SEC tournament, they will be double digits on a neutral or close to it against Auburn. And in Michigan, I mean, they're a big dog in this one, and they will be, I think Michigan will be an underdog against any of the other remaining teams. Maybe not a big dog against Ole Miss or Michigan, but State, the Wolverines will be a dog in the regional final regardless, Alex.
Yeah, they will. At least a point or point and a half there. So you're right. If you like Michigan, you got to take them to upset Auburn first.
Yeah. And Michigan, stepping up in class against Michigan State, they got blown out the last 2 times they played them. It was just them stepping up in class is tough, and we'll see if they can do it against Auburn. I don't think so. So it's going to be a Michigan. I think Michigan State, gets there, but again, that conditioning, I go back and forth on that. I do really like that game under now, though. Mississippi, Michigan State, but to bet to win it all, Auburn's definitely the best team of the 4.
Let's move along to the final region here on a Tuesday preview of the Sweet 16. We go to the Midwest region right now, and we got chalk. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this, for Houston, this is in Indianapolis, and a little bit of a weird break for them where all the other teams in this region are super close to Indianapolis. Purdue obviously is about an hour, West Lafayette to Indy. Kentucky is about a 3-hour drive. Tennessee is about a 5-hour drive. Really not bad at all. And then Houston obviously got to get on a plane. But just showing the difference in these teams' abilities. Houston is 7.5 here against Purdue. By the way, these games being played at Lucas Oil Stadium, not at the arena. I don't think it's as impactful, at least as some may think. Do this every single go around when they go to Indy now for the regional finals. Alex, 7.5 in this game, 131.5 the total. I don't see how Purdue scores in this game. I just think Houston's defense should be able to rule the day. And if you have any concern about the stadium shooting, I mean, even at 131.5, I think you can go under this game. I think this is a grinder from the get-go here with Houston and Purdue. Like the Cougs to win, like this thing under.
I've got a 5-point difference in the total as well, so I love it under. Both of them are going to play at a slow pace. And Houston, I mean, they kind of played with their food. They pretty much had that with Gonzaga, kind of let them hang around in there. I think we'll see an even better win for them. They do have the longest win streak. Last time they lost was in overtime, February 1st. I love this team. Expect to see their best effort here. And I did make them a bigger favorite than 7.5, so I lean that way as well. I think Purdue's pretty fortunate to get in here with the competition that they've had, including McNeese State.
I mean, the game 9 gave no home field, no home court. Okay. But there will be. Everyone in the stands is going to be rooting for the dog because every Kentucky fan and every Tennessee fan will be rooting against Houston. They don't want to see Houston. So they'll be rooting for Purdue, and all the fans from Indiana in the stadium will be rooting for Purdue. So I think there's got to be some home court given to them. I could give 3 points and make it 6. That still doesn't give me a play on the side. But they are playing in a football stadium. Yeah. Basketball games played in a football stadium over the last 20 years, on average, is 9 points lower than an normal NCAA tournament game. They're 20 points lower than an NCAA regular season game. 3-point shooting is actually almost even, though. Wow. Where the numbers go down is 2-point shooting from mid-range. The depth perception hurts, and the free throw line. It's almost 4% less free throw percentage in football stadiums that the court is at the 50-yard line at midcourt. And that's where we're playing in this game. So I bet this game under. I went under 133.5, and I love Houston's defense, and I love hearing Jeff say, how's Purdue going to score? There's only going to be 60 possessions in the game. Purdue doesn't run. They play slow half-court basketball.
And Houston, we know, wants to play slow also. So Cougs in this one favored by 7.5. All right, nightcap, SEC battle. Now, this is a fascinating game for a whole collection of reasons. Tennessee was swept by Kentucky this year. Kentucky won both at Thompson Bowling and at Rupp. They did it at Thompson Bowling back on January 28th when Kentucky was as injured as they basically have been all year. And now this is the third go-around. 144.5 is the total. Vols are 4-point favorites. I'm just curious because I know both of you will give double revenge in this game when you're making your lines. But I'm just curious if this is just a bad matchup for Tennessee more so than anything. Just the way that Kentucky plays, yeah, it could be a problem shooting-wise potentially, but Tennessee has not loved having to play these teams that play fast unless if they can get them under grips, and Tennessee has not really been able to do that in either matchup against Kentucky.
So I'm kind of stuck with this one because I'm leaning more with you, Jeff. This is a bad matchup for Tennessee. And I was listening to Evan Abrams from Action Network, and you know that they find a lot of trends and stuff. And he said never has this happened where a team has lost twice and then was the favorite. And even though Tennessee is the power rating, this is the first time that we're seeing this. So we don't really have anything to go off of with it. I just have to imagine there's value. Even though that number is right, there's got to be value taking the points here with the team that's already beat another team twice.
I gave Tennessee 2.5 points for that revenge that they've lost the first two games. Made the game 5. I was hoping to get a bet on the game. I was hoping enough people would like Kentucky because of that fact. When you look at both the first two games that they played, you know, basketball games can go either way. The 3-point shot that rattles in and out doesn't go in, and the other team banks in a 3-point shot. Kentucky won the first game by 5. And it was close down to the wire. They really dominated the first 10 minutes of the second half, and it was close down to the wire. And the second game was kind of the same thing. That it was an 11-point Kentucky win at Kentucky, but they were only up 5 with 10 minutes to go. And I'm sure they won the free throw battle in that game. They hit 11 out of 14. They didn't get a lot, but it was a game that Tennessee didn't shoot well. They were 3 for 18. If they shot just 33%, it's a 2-point game. Mm-hmm. These teams are very, very close in talent. Very close in talent. Who's got the better offense? Kentucky. Who's got the better defense? Tennessee. So we'll see who wins out in that game. I'm going to go under. I'm going under because it's the third time around. Both coaches are going to make their adjustments on the first two games they've seen each other. And that second game was 75-64. It came 139. And now we're playing in a football stadium. Again, you're going to take points off for that. I already had a lower total. I went under 146 and down to 144.5.
This is, of all the games in this round, I think this is the hardest one to figure other than that BYU-Bama game because, again, the BYU-Bama game really will just come down to which offense is more effective that day with how their defenses are. But, again, this could just be a bad matchup for Tennessee. It's also, again, this is the furthest Mark Pope has ever been in an NCAA tournament as well. Barnes well-documented his lack of success in the NCAA tournament. Very interesting game. Very interesting pod all the way through here in this Midwest. Houston, by the way, if we're going by region now for the prices, Houston's only minus 120. Tennessee is at plus 230. Kentucky from 9-1 to plus 725. Purdue, the biggest mover, from 12-1 down to plus 750. I understand the geography of this. I understand a lot. I understand why people might want to go away from Houston. They're scared of past performance. This Cougar team is very different than it was in the past. They have a capability of making big shots, and they have a capability of making three-pointers, which they cannot do. I think Houston is significantly better than all of these teams. Tennessee's the closest talent-wise, but Houston just plays the same style, and they play it better. So I would have no problem laying $1.20 with the Cougs to win this region. I have no issue with doing that, and that, maybe you get slightly better, but it will not be much better with a rollover here, Alex.
Couldn't have said it better myself, but I think we know that I've been all over Houston for this tournament as well, so we'll see. I mean, that winner of Tennessee and Kentucky is going to be a little tough for them. Of course, they do have to get past Purdue, and they'll have a nice crowd there as well. With it being in the football stadium. Are we looking for teams that are good from deep, since you said it doesn't really impact the three?
Yeah, and Houston's got 3 guys that can shoot it. So that could be something you definitely take a look at. I've been wanting to bet Houston for a future. I haven't bet them yet. This might be my opportunity. I still may. I'm going to do the math, though. I still may bet money line. I am worried about one thing, and how many people from Houston are going to the game. They are behind this team, and maybe they are going to bring a lot of folks to this basketball game, but I know that Purdue's going to have the home edge in the first one, and then if they play Kentucky, Kentucky's going to have the home edge in that one too. It'll be all blue with a little bit of red, and that's that'll make that a pick'em type of basketball game. So you don't want minus 120 when your second game may be a pick'em game.
Let's look at the overall futures here to win the whole thing. Florida's your betting favorite, Duke is your betting favorite at plus 225. Florida's at 3-1. Then Houston at plus 475. Auburn at 5-1. 18-1 on Bama and Tennessee. 20-1 on Michigan State and Texas Tech. Maryland and Arizona at 35-1. Everybody else is 50-1. Can you make a case for non-1 seeds at all here, guys?
Yeah, we know that the talent level is swayed to the top teams. Bama was number 1 in the country, I think, at the end of the one part late in the season, or they were right there, and then they beat Auburn at Auburn, and we're looking at Auburn at 5-1. This Bama team is really a good basketball team. I bet them at 11-1. I thought I got a good price. Now I can get them at 18-1. Now when we're already this deep in the tournament. Tennessee also with one of the best defenses in college basketball. At 18-1, I think is a little bit high. But then, if Kentucky does have a matchup advantage, you're looking at 50-1. You're looking at 50-1 for Kentucky, and I think they can win that game. And then if they got the entire crowd against Houston, you're in the Final Four with that is it's a tough. You're no gimme to win that game, but. If you do beat Houston, you're at 50. You got a 50-1 shot with 2 games to go.
And at some point, you're kind of looking at teams with the motivation of like house money, right? If Kentucky beats Tennessee and then they're playing against Houston, I mean, Mark Pope's like, hey, we're not really supposed to be here.
No.
Go have fun. And they seem like they're getting healthy. We were talking about all the concerns and the injuries that they've been through, and they look like a pretty complete team last weekend.
And then just if we go through this, other odds available here at the South Point Conference to win the tournament. Of course, the SEC versus the field is still up minus 145 on the field and plus 125 on the SEC, as you can see in the other conferences to win one. Only 4 left, as we know.
Yep.
It's the SEC, it's the Big 12, it's the Big 10, and it's Duke. Representing that ACC number is the exact same as the Duke number available now. Which region to win the title? East is plus 165. That's Duke. Plus 210. West, that is Florida. 3-1, that is on the South on Auburn's region. And then the Houston region at plus 325 on these little specialty props, Alex.
Well, East is Duke and Alabama.
Yep.
So that's a nice plus price having both of those two. But
I wonder how much travel hurts Florida going all the way out playing in the West Coast.
Yeah. Well, and who are they playing against?
Well, Maryland stayed out.
That's
Maryland was in Seattle. They're staying out west. They're not going back east. They're staying there. So Florida went to Gainesville and then fly it back out. Arkansas played east as well in Providence in round 1 on the bottom end of Texas Tech. Not as bad travel from Lubbock to San Francisco as those other places.
Yeah.
All right. That's what we got for you. The Sweet 16 preview. Elite 8 games, of course, coming this weekend, and the Final Four, which we'll preview all of next week. Alex, Kenny, good luck on your plays for Tuesday and your plays moving forward. Shout out to the crew, Jerry, Vince, Ryan, Drew Dog. Thank you guys, as always. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on Sports by the Book. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube right now or later on, make sure you click that subscribe button right now if you're not already subscribed. This has been Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio.